There was no miracle in the 21st century. Just as before, the strongest are the ones at the top. That's why, in order to maintain their role as the world hegemon, the U.S. continues creating prototypes for new weapons, including warships. One such promising project is the DDG-X destroyer, which in the future is supposed to replace the Ticonderoga-class cruisers, as well as Arleigh Burke-class destroyers that were being built since the early 90s. The DDG-X destroyer will become the backbone of the U.S. Navy in the mid-21st century. They'll perform two main functions: protecting aircraft carriers and other elite vessels, and carrying out independent combat missions relying on their own firepower. Let's take a closer look at the new hope of the U.S. Navy. The DDG-X destroyer will have an entirely new hull, which will make it larger than the current destroyer ships, but smaller than the stealth destroyer Zumwalt. Just a reminder, the more recent variants of the Arleigh Burke have a displacement of over 9.6 thousand tons, and Zumwalt has a displacement of 16,000 tons. Therefore, we can expect the DDG-X to have a displacement around 11 to 13,000 tons. We can say it's highly probable that the new destroyer will feature stealth technology. Otherwise, what's the point of developing a new ship? It'd be easier to make the Arleigh Burke bigger to be able to fit more missiles. Therefore, the exterior of the destroyer will most likely feature a multitude of intersecting planes and will resemble the already familiar iron-like look of the Zumwalt. The ship will be using the Aegis Information and Control Combat System, which is currently used on DDG-51 FLT-3 vessels. The power plant will likely be a hybrid, similar to the one used on Zumwalt. Two Rolls-Royce MT-30 gas turbines, 47,500 horsepower or 3.4 megawatts each. They're connected to two Curtiss-Wright generators that power the AIM induction motors, propellers, and onboard equipment, including alleged laser weapons. The total capacity of the power plant is 105,000 horsepower or 78 megawatts. It's expected that the power in the DDG-X destroyer will be increased to 95 to 100 megawatts. Now for the most interesting thing about the battleship: the armament. The main firepower will be a combination of supersonic cruise missiles, anti-ship and anti-submarine missiles, as well as air defense missiles. All of this ammunition will be stored in the standard Mk-41 launchers. Ticonderoga-class cruisers have 122 launchers. Arleigh Burke has 90 to 96, depending on the variant. Therefore, we can assume DDG-X will have around 100 launchers. The ship's armament will probably also include lightweight anti-submarine torpedoes and one or two MH-60 Seahawk helicopters. DDG-X could also be equipped with one or two short-range combat laser systems with adjustable power levels that can shoot down drones and missiles. And now for the little things. It's likely the DDG-X will be equipped with a multi-purpose 5-inch cannon as well as means to launch small unmanned surface, underwater, and air devices. The Americans plan to start building the first DDG-X in 2028 and have it commissioned in 2032. To sum up, the U.S. military wants to have a more powerful destroyer in terms of armament, while reducing construction costs compared to their hyped-up warship of the future, Zumwalt. The new DDG-X destroyer is expected to cost $2.5 billion. Does that remind you of anything? Well, of course. The F-22 Raptor transformation into the F-35 Lightning. The Americans were able to create a truly unique invisible predator, one that cost an unspeakable amount of money and is incredibly expensive to run. They later realized that one F-22 is worth as much as 10 Su-35s. And with their unique super maneuverability, 10 Su-35 fighters are very likely to take on one Raptor. Its stealth technology would be useless, because it'll be easily discovered as soon as it starts launching missiles in battle. And even the American economy cannot sustain building 1,000 Raptors, so they decided to make a light modification of the F-22 and came up with the multi-purpose F-35 Lightning. It's a similar story with the Zumwalt destroyer. Incredibly advanced, but even more incredibly expensive. Making it the backbone of the U.S. Navy is a straight-up suicide. The price of one of these is $4 billion, the same as the cost of operation of over 50 years. Imagine how much one nuclear aircraft carrier cost the American taxpayers. Now let's see what the designers managed to cram into this ship for this amount of money. The main thing is the use of the stealth technology, thanks to which the 600-foot ship will appear as a small fishing vessel on the radar. It basically looks like an old iron to establish the destroyer to absorb and scatter the beams of the enemy radar as much as possible, as opposed to reflecting them. The large superstructure was built in accordance with stealth technology. It fits a radar, satellites, the bridge, the mast, various electric equipment, as well as a hangar for 3 unmanned MQ-8 Fire Scout aircraft and 1 SH-60 helicopter. The helicopter takeoff pad is located in the aft part of the ship. The superstructure on the lead ship, USS Zumwalt, is made from composite materials and balsa, a very light but durable timber. But for some reason on the second and third Zumwalt-class ships, the superstructure is made out of steel. Of course, in many ways, this kind of simplification contradicts the very concept of a discrete vessel. Did they run out of money? The Wonder Ship doesn't have any armor as such. They must think that, unlike a boxing match, there will not be an exchange of blows in battle. Zumwalt is not a fighter, it's a killer. Sneak up, strike, and retreat. The main chunk of Zumwalt's firepower are 80 Tomahawk missiles, so this vessel is capable of destroying the fleet of any country, unless, of course, you take into account the air defense resistance. Additionally, it's got a 6-inch advanced gun system, which sends high-precision guided projectiles at a range of 91 miles. However, the Americans managed to run up the cost of one shot to $2 million, higher than the cost of the Tomahawk, which has a much longer range and the power of the delivered ammunition. So how did Xi Jinping respond to this challenge by the U.S.? Indeed, for China, with their principled argument with the Americans over the South China Sea, Uncle Joe's resistance ability at sea is much more relevant than for Russia, for example. The Chinese quickly developed and began to churn out a new Type 052D destroyer. For China, this is the first destroyer equipped with a vertical launching system, VLS. Every VLS unit consists of 8 launchers. Each launcher accommodates between 1 and 4 missiles. When it comes to space, this launching system is superior to its American counterparts Mk-41 and Mk-57. The range of missile armament for these launchers is very versatile. It has cruise missiles with a range of 930 miles, as well as anti-ship, anti-submarine, and anti-aircraft missiles. Additionally, it has torpedoes and rapid-fire 130mm and 30mm guns. In a nutshell, it is a modern naval kill machine. No stealth technologies are used for this destroyer ship. Type 052D is basically the Chinese counterpart to the American Arleigh Burke. The Chinese must have figured that when you're defending your own territory, you can do without stealth technologies. And at least it's possible to build a large number of ships in a short amount of time. As of July 2021, 19 ships of that class have already been commissioned, and 6 have been launched. And so, in response to U.S. claims to the South China Sea, the Chinese launched a new class of destroyer ships, Type 052D. And seeing the Chinese reinforcements, South Korea also began to build its strength. Their response was the 655-foot-long Ticonderoga-class multi-purpose LPX ship with a displacement of 14,000 tons. It's the largest landing platform ship in the Asian region. The ship can carry 700 Marines, 10 CH-60 helicopters, 7 amphibious assault vehicles, 6 tanks, 2 LCAC hovercrafts. Dokdo embodies the concept of over-the-horizon assault, supported by helicopters. The air-cushion landing amphibious vehicles are launched beyond the horizon, where they cannot be detected by the enemy before the start of an attack. The conventional landing ship tank has to approach the coastline for landing, at the risk of being fired upon by the enemy. The only thing Dokdo puts at risk are its hovercrafts, whereas the conventional landing ships risk their heads. The LCAC hovercraft is capable of landing on enemy shores at 46 miles per hour. At the size of 91.5 feet by 48 feet, it can carry about 60 to 75 tons, which equates to 1 tank plus support. The ship's own power plant is made up of 4 diesel engines, 8,000 horsepower each. They enable Dokdo to reach a maximum speed of 26.7 miles per hour, not to be confused with the speed of a hovercraft. Weapon-wise, the ship has 2 universal 1.2-inch 30mm goalkeeper close-in weapon systems, CWIS. and one short-range air defense system. In addition, Dokdo can be used as a command center, taking control of other vessels, aircraft, and their armament in real time. Dokdo was built in 2007. In late June of 2021, Koreans commissioned the second ship of this class, ROX Murado. Unlike its older sibling, it was equipped with Phalanx Seawiz instead of the Goalkeeper systems. The former rulers of the sea are also trying to keep up. In 2010, the Royal Navy of the United Kingdom introduced the Type 45, or Daring-class destroyer. This class of ship is meant to replace Type 42 or Sheffield-class destroyers. The new destroyer is 500 feet long, 69.7 feet wide, and has a draft of 24.3 feet and a displacement of 8,500 tons. The main purpose of Type 45 is to protect the fleet from air attack. The destroyer is said to be able to intercept all types of high-speed air threats at a maximum range of 74.5 miles. For self-defense, the destroyer is equipped with 2 Harpoon anti-ship missile launchers and 2 types of artillery systems for close-range and long-range combat. There's also space for 2 Westland Lynx helicopters or 1 Augusta Westland Merlin HM-1 helicopter on board the destroyer. The destroyer does not have any anti-submarine defense. Although according to a review in the Sunday Times, these destroyers make as much noise as a drawer full of spanners, which can be heard by submarines in a 100-mile radius. It doesn't use stealth technology either. A total of 6 destroyers of this class have been built, including the Defender, which tested the nerve of Russian sailors in Crimea this summer. Well, we'll see how the creation of DDG-X plays out for the Americans. After all, the military was not impressed by the F-35.